Wow, this is so good. So this is a beast as well. Oh my god, this is so good. Welcome back, guys, to another video. In today's video, I'm featuring gourmand fragrances, which I know, last year was definitely gourmand scented. I think a lot of fragrances that were released definitely had a very sweet undertone to them. And I just thought, you know, since I'm not technically like a super gourmand lover, but I do have gourmand leaning fragrances in my collection and different samples and things that I would recommend to you guys, I just thought it'd be fun to show you some real beautiful gourmand fragrances. Obviously, everyone has different takes on what they class as gourmand. These are not patisserie leaning, these are not cakey leaning, these are more richer, maybe chocolatey, vanilla-esque type of gourmand fragrances. So that's the type of gourmand that I usually love the most, when it has other supporting notes pairing with these beautiful sweeter accords. So if you guys like that style, then definitely keep watching and we'll just jump straight into it. I was very grateful because my partner bought this for me for Christmas and I absolutely adore this. This has been on my wish list for the longest time. In fact, all of the olfactory journey or the olfactive expressions line from Rosendo Mateu, I think they are really, really gorgeous. There's 1988 as well, which is a really lovely, like, aquatic leaning fragrance. This is gourmand for the gourmand lovers. This is heavy chocolate. Actually, I'm going to spray a little bit here because oh my god, this is so good. This is literal dark chocolate on steroids. There is a little bit of a smokiness to this, so I think there is oud in this fragrance, and the oud just gives like a little bit of a smoky, rubbery type of feel. So the best way that I can describe this, and I don't know whether this sounds a bit peculiar or not, but as if you have rubber that's been covered by this beautiful milky dark chocolate. It's really, really beautiful. In the beginning, you do have some fruitiness, which I think is coming from orange, but the good thing about this, it doesn't go into like the Terry's chocolate orangey type of realm. This is just beautifully nutty, chocolatey, lactonic. It also has a big dose of tonka bean, and I tend to find with tonka bean, which is dissimilar to almond sometimes, is it does have like a vanillic undertone to it. And I think that paired with the chocolate and the oud, this is a really complex fragrance, but I think it's gourmand done correctly. In fact, I'll just do a little close-up of it. Even the bottle itself is really artistic. It almost has like a 1920-ish Art Deco style to it, and it's gorgeous. So if you've never tried it before, definitely give 1970 from Rosendo Mateu a go. So the next fragrance that I have here is one that I've talked about in the past when it comes to iris fragrances, and I do think it should be in my gourmand list. Now, I was thinking whether to include Shalimar Soufflé or the Soufflé Intense, but then I thought to myself, no, I'll show the bottle that I already have, which is Shalimar Millesime d'Iris. Now, across the years, I think they've done it over the past 5 years. They've had a Millesime Tonka, Millesime Vanilla. This was the third one, Millesime Iris, and then they've had a Millesime Jasmine. This to me is my favorite, honestly. It has such beautiful caramelistic, very warm vanillic kind of undertones to it, and I think the original Shalimar, what I absolutely love about it is that warmth from the vanilla, and they've kind of amped it up in this fragrance. So they've added some caramel aspects to it. You have this beautiful iris note in here, and the iris in here definitely goes a little bit more buttery, as if you're literally just whipping up buttercream. Now, it is still a little bit more vintage leaning, so I would recommend definitely to sample this beforehand, and unfortunately I think it has been discontinued. That's the only problem, I guess, with the Millesime range. They are like a limited edition of the Shalimars, so if you've never given it a go, and if you do like something a little bit more buttery and vanilla-esque or caramelistic, then definitely try Millesime d'Iris or Iris from Guerlain. Now moving on to a fragrance that I've never spoken about before. I tried this some years ago. I think it was in Javoy. I can't really remember exactly where it was, but I've tried a lot of the Nejma range, and thankfully Scent City actually sent me a sample of this. And if you guys have ever been intrigued by maybe different niche houses, I would definitely check them out. So I've just popped their link down below for you guys. So Nejma are known to have almost like oud leaning type of fragrances, whereas this is definitely their gourmand version. And I've sprayed a little bit here for you guys, and I'll spray it again. Wow, this is so good. So the beginning is definitely like a rich, fruity, vanillic, almost like a fruity cocktail type of beginning. and then very soon, I would say within 10 or 15 minutes, it starts to dry down to its true nature, which in this case is cacao, coconut and oud. The oud in here is not smoky, it's not animalic, it's not overwhelming whatsoever, and to me this smells very similar to a designer fragrance that I have, which is Dolce & Gabbana The One Intense, because that one has a coconut note in it. This is that amped up, but with like a little bit of cocoa powder, which again gives like a chocolatey powdery feel to the fragrance. And the oud in here is slightly smoky, it's not too overwhelming, and the only thing that it's a little bit disappointing for me is it is a amped up version, but it kind of lacks that intensity. Typically a lot of the Nejma fragrances, they're very long lasting, they're very intense, whereas this one I think lacks that a little bit. It almost smells a little bit watered down to me, so I would definitely recommend maybe just trying it beforehand, because it is a little bit more expensive, but if you do enjoy something a little bit more coconutty, a little bit chocolatey, and something that maybe smells a little bit more maybe mainstream, because this isn't a challenging fragrance whatsoever. It's very easygoing, and I think you definitely get a lot of compliments out of this fragrance. So if you've never tried it before, definitely give Nejma No. 7 a go. Now moving on to something that's definitely more inexpensive, and this is probably the best inexpensive or affordable gourmand that you can get, in my opinion. This is a beast as well. I don't know whether they've reformulated it, but in my eyes, I mean, I have the old bottle of it, and my god, when I tell you it lasts, it projects all day, this thing will last you like there's no tomorrow. And I think for the price, wow, they've done this fragrance super justice, and there's lots of different flankers of it, but the original is definitely my favorite. So this is Girl of Now from Elie Saab. Now, if you're like me and if you enjoy a nutty fragrance and something that's quite lactonic and sweet, this is definitely for you. And me growing up, like, I always enjoyed marzipan and almond and all of those sweet treats, and this is marzipan with pistachio on steroids. It has a lot of almonds in here. I think there might even be like a milk accord, because to me it smells very lactonic and rich, and the almond alongside the vanilla and the other sweeter notes definitely makes it smell very marzipan-y. The pistachio adds like another layer of nuttiness to this fragrance, so not only is it heavy in the almond, but definitely heavy in the pistachio. But I think the pistachio really, to me, only lasts a little bit in the beginning and then kind of drifts off towards the base. I know a lot of you will already know this fragrance, but I just thought I would include it because it's an oldie, but it's a goodie. It will always do very well. I still spray this quite often, and I think this is just a really easygoing fragrance for all seasons. It has a really lovely scent trail as well. So if you've never tried it, try Girl of Now from Elie Saab. Now moving on to something a little bit more expensive, and when I say a little bit, this is very expensive, and this is called Noble 8 Cosmos Flower. So this is part of like the Queen Anne type of range. They have all of these different types of fragrances. This is their gourmand version. Now, there's a lot of debate with this fragrance. Do I think it's worth the money? Definitely not. For the retail price, this is incredibly expensive, but if you can get it for a discount, which you can do nowadays, then I think it might be worth the money. So this is a predominantly very boozy cocoa type of fragrance. I'm just going to spray a little bit here. Literally running out of arm space, as you could probably tell, so I'll just spray. Wow, this is so good, guys. So the opening to me is a very true and very realistic rum, but what's great about this, it has a lot of fruitiness in the beginning as well. So I think there might be some apple, not that it goes into the apple strudel kind of rum, but it's almost like you have fermented apples with this rum. So it's as if the apples have been soaking in this rum overnight. And then towards the base is when the true magic happens. So that's when the cacao, the vanilla, the other boozy notes come into play. It also has some doses of jasmine and some gardenia. So the white florals gives this very buttery realm to this fragrance. And my god, I would say this is very addictive. It really is a super boozy, sweet, vanillic kind of fragrance. So again, it's really easygoing. It does smell almost as if you have like a designer type of fragrance. And what I mean by that, a little bit more mainstream, very easygoing. It's not a challenging fragrance whatsoever. But if you want to smell good, if you want to go out and make a statement, then definitely give this one a go. I bought this ages ago and it's like the 10 ml travel size, and to be fair, it's done me really great. I don't think I need to buy the full bottle, not yet anyway. Maybe one day I will buy myself a full bottle, but if you do enjoy something fruity, chocolatey, vanillic and very boozy, then definitely give Cosmos Flower from Clive a go. Now moving on to a fan favourite. I know a lot of you guys will know this fragrance and a lot of you guys love it as much as I do. This is Noir de Noir from Tom Ford. This to me is interesting gourmand fragrance because it leans quite boozy to me. So you definitely have a lot of rose. There's a very chocolatey type of accord, and I don't think there's actual chocolate in here. It's from the truffle, it's from the other woody notes, maybe there's some patchouli in here as well. I often find that patchouli can go very chocolatey. For me, this is just beautiful. It's like the rose has been fermented in red wine. So the simplest way that I always describe this to people, it's as if you have red wine in a glass and then dark chocolate cut up on one side. This is very rich, it's dark, it's boozy. I think when I initially smelled this years and years ago, I thought it was a little bit challenging because, you know, for me, I don't particularly love super dark fragrances. What really softened it up for me is definitely that chocolatiness, that powderiness, and the fermented vibe from maybe the truffle. The rose in here is so rich, it's dense, but it's not a powdery vintage rose, which I definitely don't enjoy as much. So this is very fruity, it's rich. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, you really can't get anything as classy as this when it comes to a gourmand fragrance. So again, if you've never tried it before, definitely try Noir de Noir from Tom Ford. Last but certainly not least, we have a fragrance that I've never spoken about on the channel, which I find really bizarre because I've known about it for many years, and I think it's a really great option, especially if somebody doesn't like a typical gourmand and if they do enjoy maybe something that's a little bit more woody. So this is called Palo Santo from Carner, Barcelona. Now, as the name suggests, it's a heavy sandalwood fragrance, and I've spoken about this before, but sandalwood is a very intriguing note to me, and yes, it's woody, but it can definitely go into that buttery lactonic type of vibe, almost like pencil shavings, but like milky pencil shavings in a weird way, and this fragrance does it justice. This is a super duper beautiful gourmand sandalwood fragrance. So you have vanilla, you have milk, you have some tonka bean, and the tonka bean is really beautiful in this. It goes into that vanillic, almondy type of note. It's really beautiful, and the way that I always describe this, it's almost as if you've burnt hazelnuts and then you have milk on one side. So it definitely has a lot of smoke in this fragrance, like a lot of smokiness and a lot of earthiness, and I think that's probably coming from the mixture of the sandalwood and the vetiver. The vetiver in here isn't too green, it's not too hay-like, which I definitely love. The fact that it has this dry, ashy type of quality to it, and it's almost a little bit smoky. So you have like this juxtaposition of the woodiness, the milkiness, and the very sweet vanilla-esque type of undertone that's coming from this. So if you do want something that's a little bit more intriguing, something that will definitely garner you compliments, then definitely try Palo Santo from Carner, Barcelona. So guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed, and as always, if you do have any other gourmand suggestions or any fragrances that you think I would like or anybody else would like, definitely comment it down below. I really hope that you guys have an amazing week, an amazing weekend, and we'll catch up soon.